Yes.
All right, so thanks everybody for joining today. My name is Issy Ben-Shaul. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Velostrata. And I'm going to be joined by Adi Degani. You'll do the bulk of the presentation today. He's the Chief Product Officer and co-founder. And the agenda is pretty packed, so we'll try to squeeze everything within 60 minutes. But it's going to have, I'll start with an overview of the company, since you probably haven't heard much of it since we just came out of stealth last week. And then we'll dive into the description of the product, some of the technology innovations, some use cases, and actually also a real-world case study with one of our customers, clinic performance results. And then we'll end up with a demo, which is going to be live, and we're going to want to allocate like 30 minutes for it. So based on how we move along and questions, etc., we'll try to fit the first two parts within 30 minutes. Okay? All right, great. So Velostrata. The company was founded about 16 months ago, May of 2014, with the vision or mission to enable hybrid cloud for the enterprises. We'll talk a lot more about it. It was founded again by myself and Adi. We've been working together for on and off 14 years. With the exception of 2 years that Adi was at Store Simple and then Microsoft, but otherwise we work together. And I'm also fortunate to be joined by actually a bigger team that have been working over a decade together on WAN optimization, storage, and virtualization, along the lines of working through two companies that were acquired by Cisco and then VMware respectively. So we've got a lot of knowledge in the respected areas that helped us bring to fruition the product that we're presenting today. What is it that we did, right? In a nutshell, right? We developed a solution that enables enterprise customers to stream compute workloads from on-premise to the public cloud in a matter of minutes, as opposed to weeks or months, while keeping the associated storage, boot images, data disks on-premise, and providing an end-to-end, highly optimized channel that connects the compute in the cloud with the storage on-premise. And by virtue of decoupling compute from storage without sacrificing performance, which is our core IP, we've actually removed some key barriers that enterprise customers have had with respect to adopting compute workloads in the cloud, especially as it relates to production workloads, where the data sets are larger in size and more valuable. And that's essentially what we did, and we'll talk obviously much more about it. I think that's the slide that we typically don't have to spend today much time even with our customers. Virtually any customer that we've met over the last 18 months, and we met personally over 200 customers, but also partners that have talked to a lot of them, have already said that virtually every enterprise customer today is looking for ways in which he can leverage the public cloud in order to realize some cost savings and or agility, right? Because most enterprises are typically either over-provisioned, means that they have capacity for the peaks or for unpredictable and variable loads and the VM sprawl that you've probably heard about, but then they have wasted infrastructure when it's not being used, or they're under-provisioned, in which case, when they're overcommitted on their infrastructure and need more capacity, that leads to business disruption and time to market issues. But the interesting thing is most customers are both. They over-provision, and yet they always run into issues when they need more capacity and they don't have it because it's a fixed infrastructure. And kind of the obvious solution there, in theory, has been, well, hybrid cloud, right? Own the base and run the spikes. In theory, everyone buys into it. So when me and Adi went to look into that and say, well, why is it, if it's so to speak, obvious that it makes sense economically, why is it not taking off? What are the issues that are preventing customers today from realizing that vision? Because when we looked at it, all enterprise customers, we think that we also, learn and, saw some studies, but in general, you see it's like 4 or 5%. Infrastructure computing is by and large with enterprises still very much on-premise. And so when we looked at it, we identified key barriers that we realized if we can address them, we'll be in great shape to unlock that opportunity, right? And those key barriers are essentially turned out to be the requirements for Velostrata. Okay, what were those key barriers? I'll just go quickly. We talked to customers. They said, it's great if I can move compute, but having to move the storage permanently to the cloud brings a lot of issues. We have one of the 5 top automakers in the U.S. out in Michigan has told us initially that hybrid cloud is not for them. And I asked him why, and he says, well, because every time I need to try to look into moving some of my production workloads, I don't get approval to move the storage. Right? When I need to move it there, it just doesn't work. Compliance, regulation, forget it. It's not for us. Well, today he's very engaged with us because of our solution of decoupling compute from storage. So that's one of the impediments. The other one was even if you can move some data, then you get into issues. Okay, that data, especially for production workloads, it's not like archive storage when it's data about to die. This is something you need the IOPS, you need the performance and the throughput, and then you need to have enough, IOPS in the cloud, which actually costs much more money. And it's also something you cannot turn off like compute, right? It's there permanently, you have to pay for it. That, essentially creates another issue with the cost effectiveness of the solution. Then, people say, hey, if you want to move, it takes time, right? When I have, 10 terabytes of data of my, SQL database or Oracle or whatever, moving that into the public cloud, right, over 20 megabits, 10 terabytes will take you, wild guess, 50, 60 days on a good day, all right? So it's not something you can do quickly, right? And so guess what? And if you want to move some of it in and then move back, right? You're screwed. I mean, there's something that you cannot do really in an agile and real-time fashion. So it was another big problem. And there's also the complexity. What we didn't realize is the infrastructure people, when they need to talk to storage people and say, now you need to take this piece of storage, move it to the cloud, I need to provide backup, I need to provide I need to manage the storage in the cloud. New practices, new tools, it changes all my environment. It's a much more complex undertaking rather than in the case of Velostrata, where you don't even talk to the storage people because the storage continues to be managed in the same way as it was managed before, right? So that's another big impediment we removed. And last but not least is the vendor lock-in, right? So virtually every customer we talk to says, I don't want to be locked into Amazon. I don't want to be locked into vCloud Air. I want to be able to, for 2 reasons. First of all, I want to be in the situation where if I want to go back, I have a safety net. If something doesn't work the way I thought it would work, if it costs more money, I have to have this way. And second, I want to be able to move sideways, right? I want to be able to say, hey, today is this cloud, tomorrow that, maybe Azure would be better. And so by virtue of just moving the compute piece, and not moving the storage, and doing it in a transparent way, as we'll show you, so it doesn't require any actually manual processing, we enabled essentially customers to be in a position where they can move in and out, right, in a matter of minutes, so they're not locked in, and they are sure that if they want to go back, they can do it, or move, sideways. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the set of requirements. And if you, as a wrap-up, when you look at it, it says, so by decoupling compute from storage, assuming that it works, and we'll show you today how it works, but assuming that it works, we can checkbox all of this. Items. We can checkbox the risk of moving data to the cloud. We can checkbox the cost of storage because now you don't have to pay for the storage in the cloud. You don't have to move it. So we literally move things in 2-3 minutes, right? And it takes a few more minutes to warm up. You'll see it, but eventually we're talking about minutes, right? In both directions, bidirectionally, and we eliminate all of the complexity associated with storage management as well as with the need to kind of do templates movement, image management across the 2 clouds, etc. Okay, so that's kind of the lead into the solution space. But before moving into the solution, any kind of high-level questions, remarks, comments?
I think we're all confused as to how you accomplish this.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But are you in line with the goals, with the objectives?
I hope to be, yeah.
Okay.
I think we're all interested.
Well, that's why we have
yes.
Yeah. So well, I haven't told you how we do it, so it's okay to be confused at this point. Hopefully, you won't be confused 45 minutes from now. Yeah.
Just a question. To me, it sounds similar to the Riverbed proposition with the on-premise SIS solution of Steel Fusion. Did you hear from them, or have you had experience with their vision for their Steel Fusion product? Because you're doing something very unique, very intelligent by using hybrid cloud, and I think that's your key, IP right now.
Yeah.
And especially with the brand optimization, obviously that was their heritage, right?
There's, and I don't want to kind of rat hole now into discussion of our competition because I think it's better for us to, but hold on your question. We'll talk about how the solution works, and you'll see how it differs from the solutions like Riverbed. And we're obviously familiar with Riverbed. I mean, we were both part of the WASP product line, which was actually at Cisco, the wide optimization. That's the acquisition of the company that we brought to Cisco. So with obviously. WAN optimization is an important piece of the solution, and we're part of it, but it's only one piece of a bigger puzzle. And as you'll see, there's elements of streaming, etc., that are not part of the Riverbed solution. We'll talk more about it, but I'd rather have first the product concept, and then
lay down the foundation.
We'll differentiate. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, great.